Hi, this is another overview of the literacy plan. The literacy plan is a group project that you will be doing toward the end of the semester. Once again, this is just an overview. Please take the time to read all the documents that are on Carmen under content about the literacy plan. Near the middle of the semester, for a different stage that you want to do your literacy plan on. Emergent, letter name, within word, syllable juncture, which is sometimes called syllable and affixes, and derivational constancy, which is also called derivational relations. You will be taught all of those stages. So you're going to be signing up, and then I'm going to be composing groups, and you will be meeting with your group via Carmen Connect, which is why we talked about Carmen Connect the first 2 weeks of class. So as a group together, you are going to be doing 4 different parts of your literacy plan. The part 1 is your description of learners. So if you and your group have signed up to do your literacy plan on letter name learner, your description of learners will talk about what are students in the letter name stage of development going through. Also, students that are in early letter name, what are they going through that's a little bit different than those students in late letter name. And each of those chapters in your book, Words Their Way, there is a wonderful table that divides up early, middle, late of each stage. So you can use that table to help you complete the description of learners for part 1. Part 2 is going to be a review of websites and apps. Just a few weeks ago, I walked into a classroom, and in that classroom they had an active board, a smart board, laptops, the kids had iPads, and some of the kids had iPods. And they were all doing thinners on their own. So technology is very much going to be a huge part of your future classroom. So this would be a great way right now to start getting ideas of what is out there. This part 2 is actually sort of connected to an individual assignment that you will have done a few weeks earlier, which is I asked you to find and evaluate your own website or app. This is just expanding on it. So as a group, I want you guys to find 10 websites or apps that can help students at your developmental stage. So once again, if you guys signed up for letter name, you're going to find some websites or apps that will help students that are letter name learners in spelling, reading, development. And you're going to be talking about those websites, telling me what you like about them, what you don't like, what you think will work, etc. Part 3 is children's books, right? This is another huge component. Obviously, if we're talking about the students' reading and writing development, you need to have books. So books can be a great mentor text to teach certain skills. So as a group, once again, I want you to find 10 books, some children's books, and you're going to be giving me the APA citation. I've included websites in our document that help you out with figuring out how to do APA if you are unfamiliar. And you're going to be giving me an annotation. Once again, there are links in the documents that tell you how to do an annotated bibliography, basically telling me how you would use this book, what you would teach this book. One thing to keep in mind is when you get a children's book, you might not use the entire book to teach a skill. That's fine, that's normal. You might have a book and you might notice the first couple pages have a lot of blends in them, all right? Sure, use that book and just read those first couple pages and that can be an introductory to blends. Or if you're with a much older group of students, you might find a book that has a lot of Greek or Latin roots in it. You can just read those few pages. So don't think you have to find a book that the entire book is one massive lesson. That's not how teachers operate. We find a book and we somehow find 1 or 2 things in it, and we use that to teach the lesson. So keep that in mind when you find it. And then that would be a great help. The library, there are tons of resources out there to find great books that you can use. And part 4 of the case study is going to be a small group activity. So you and your group members, once again, through Carmen Connect, are going to be creating a small group activity, so for about 4 to 6 children that you would use to teach those students at that stage of development. So once again, if your group is assigned letter name, you're going to be doing a small group activity for letter name learners. And you're going to be thinking of an activity to do. You can use one of the books that you selected for part 3. You can use a website that you selected from part 2. Or you don't have to, all right? This is sort of a separate. But you're thinking of an activity to teach a certain skill that they need to learn at that stage. So it needs to be written like a lesson plan. I have an example on Carmen, and it needs to be as if you are doing it. So I don't want a paragraph saying, we got a bunch of students together and I read them a chapter and then I had them do an activity on capital letters. That's not a lesson plan. I want a very clear lesson plan with the Common Core standards and with what you had to do, what are the questions you asked, what were the objectives. Once again, there's an example on Carmen. So as a group, you're going to create one lesson plan. So that's basically the literacy plan. You're going to be creating all those components, putting them together into one document, and one person from your group will be turning that in to me via Carmen. And once again, all that information and more information is on Carmen under content for literacy plan. So please check that out.